the other way around.
It's just like life. It's one big roller coaster. One day you up, next day you down. You never know how it's gonna go. You can't say.
Okay, welcome back, everybody, to the Fantasy Savvy show with your host, Steve D'Angelo. We have a 2024 NBA Finals preview for you tonight. Dallas Mavericks against the Boston Celtics will start tomorrow night, Thursday. Best of 7 series starting in the TD Garden, Boston, Massachusetts. Going to be a pretty good series. I mean, I didn't expect Dallas to get this far. I thought they would lose to the freaking Clippers. I actually had the Clippers in the finals against Boston, and the Clippers were just a huge freaking letdown. First of all, Kawhi was not healthy at all. He played 2 games, and he was a disaster. And James Harden just shot. Paul George can't get over the hump. Russell Westbrook shot. Norman Powell. I like all those dudes, and Terrence Mann, they were just a disaster. Dallas took care of them. You know, maybe if they have a healthy Kawhi, it's a little bit of a different series. They were the home team, but they just couldn't get it done. So the Mavericks get to the finals, and the Celtics get to the finals. The Celtics were a heavy favorite. I believe they were minus 160 coming in, or plus 160 to win it all. So they were the odds-on favorite. Then it was the Nuggets. I think they were like plus 300. And then the Clippers were the third. I think they were plus 1,200, plus 1,300. So the Mavericks, if you bet them early on, you got really good value. Mavericks, beat the Clippers. They beat a nice young Thunder team. And then they take care of the Timberwolves, who knocked out the Nuggets. So certainly worthy of the road they've taken, getting this far in the finals, and we'll see what happens. So we'll come back on the other side. We're going to preview this NBA Finals. This will also be presented by the Face Off Sports Network. Check them out, fffaceoff.com. You can follow me on X at Fantasy Savvy. You can also go to my YouTube page, like, subscribe, share, Spotify, and also Apple Podcasts. Please like, subscribe, share. Appreciate it. This will be played on all of them. So we'll come back on the other side. We'll get into this finals. We're going to go over the series. We'll have some game 1 picks. We'll have a little bit of props as well. And we'll break it all down. So let's get into it. Welcome to the Fantasy Savvy Weekly Show with your host, Steve D'Angelo, discussing high-stakes fantasy football, NFL picks, and much more. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Okay, we're back. Fantasy Savvy Weekly podcast, whatever you want to call it. Radio show. Follow me on X at Fantasy Savvy. All right, so let's go into Dallas's road real quick on how they got here. So again, they beat the Clippers in 6. They were the road team. They took care of business. Kawhi was banged up. Paul George, he just cannot make a run. James Harden, he comes up short again. Russell Westbrook, once again, dude can't make a freaking 3 to save his life. And then they go on. They play the Thunder. Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, Chet Holmgren, what a pro wants, what a pro needs. We saw that commercial 10,000 times during the NCAA tournament. And even after that, it was lingering around. But, I thought the Thunder were a nice, young, cohesive team. They were the number one seed. They swept the Pelicans, no Zion. So that helped them, obviously. But I mean, Dallas goes in and, they take care of business. They win that series in 6 as well. And then they play the Timberwolves. Anthony Edwards, we're hearing comparisons to Michael Jordan. And, it's getting a little out of control. But they did beat the Nuggets. And, those first 2 games against the Nuggets, they played some serious ass defense. And there was a lot of talk of a sweep. But the Nuggets bounced back. They won 3 in a row. But then Minnesota gets the last 2. They bounce back and they win the last game in Denver, in Game 7 in Denver, which shows a lot for Minnesota. I mean, Minnesota Edwards and Karl Anthony Towns, Walker Alexander, Gobert, just nice, cohesive defensive team. They played really well in this playoffs, but they played Dallas, and Dallas just dismantles them 4 in 5 games. They had no answer for Kyrie Irving. They had no answer for Luka Doncic. They weren't making Luka Doncic play defense, so he was keeping his energy on offense, and he was just, that last game, he just buried them, absolutely buried them in Minnesota after, the Timberwolves took one in Dallas to prevent being swept. They go, Doncic goes into freaking Minnesota and just, is absolutely on fire from the first quarter. So, Dallas is freaking red hot right now. Red hot. They're playing some great basketball. They beat a lot of talented teams, veteran teams in the Clippers, young, talented, cohesive teams in the Thunder and the Timberwolves. Timberwolves, again, beating the Nuggets, who, pound for pound, probably the most talented team with Jokic and Murray when they're playing their game, and Porter Jr. and Aaron Gordon. But, their bench wasn't as good. Minnesota was bringing a little bit more. Jaden McDaniels, Towns were big in that series. And then the Celtics, I mean, they've had a fortunate road. First off, they beat the Heat in 5 without Jimmy Butler. So that's first off. And Terry Rozier is out. So 2 of their best players are out in that series. Then they play the Cavs. They win this one in 5-2. Donovan Mitchell's banged up. He's hurt. So, again, they're fortunate. Another banged-up team. Then they sweep the Pacers 4-0, and Tyler Halliburton is banged up. So, 3 of the best players, all the teams they beat were banged up at some point in the series or didn't play a damn game in the series at all. So, again, the Celtics were the favorites to win it all. We still haven't seen from this Celtics team that they could show the type of toughness that, can win a championship. Big change for the team was bringing in Drew Holiday this year. Huge pickup for them. Also, Porzingis. Now, Porzingis is going to be back for Game 1 and back for this series. He hasn't played since, I believe, Game 4 in the opening round. So he didn't play in that Cavs series. He didn't play in the Pacers series. So now he is back for the NBA Finals. Maybe he's going to get ramped up a little bit, but he's had plenty of rest. Again, this freaking playoff starts all the way back. Late April, middle of April, late April. So, all the way into June. We're into June now. So he's had plenty of time to rest. So here we go. Tomorrow night, Thursday, ABC. No more TNT. Chuck Shack, that was a good run. And, they're going to lose rights. NBC is taking over. So next year is going to be the last year of Shaq, Barkley, Kenny Smith, Ernie Smith, TNT, which, I've been watching these guys for years. They're absolutely awesome to watch. They're clowns. They're funny. But at the same time, I like their dynamic is just awesome. And I think they do bring good analysis, too. They bring really good analysis. And Barkley's underrated. Kenny Smith brings his own. Shaq brings his points. Ernie's the great host. He gels it all together. And then the producers, the freaking Shaq the Fool. It's just awesome. So I'll miss it. But anyway, ABC tomorrow night, Mavericks Celtics. So, what are we going for? What do we like in this series? First off, the series price, Celtics minus 220 to win the series, Mavericks plus 175. And I was actually going to pick. Well, first off, let's go back to the regular season matchups. They played 4 times this year. Boston won every single time. Now I know that Daniel Gafford was, picked up later. They didn't have him. Lively also wasn't in a few of those games. And I'm seeing here that Irving didn't play in the first game way back in November. Actually, this is 22. So they played 3 times this year. My bad. January 5th, 2023, Boston won 124-95 in Dallas. Tatum had 29. Jaylen Brown had 19. Oh my God. This is off too. My bad. I'm screwed up here by this freaking calendar. Okay. 2 times. My bad. 2 times. Boston won both games in Dallas, 119 to 110. January 22nd, 2024. Freaking, I'll tell you, man, ever since the pandemic, my time and years is just freaking, it's insane. Plus living in Florida, like every day is sunny out here. So it almost like feels like the same day almost. It's like almost like you're living in a simulation out here. There's no change of seasons really. You get a little bit of cold every now and then, but anyway. January 22nd, 2024, 119, 110 in Dallas. So they played 2 times this year. Tatum had 39. Jaylen Brown had 34. Drew Holiday had 17. Porzingis did not play in this game. Horford had 11. Derek White had 6. Peyton Pritchard 5. Tatum had a great game, 39 points, 11 rebounds, 5 assists. He had 2 blocks, 3 steals. So he killed him. For the Dallas side, Gafford was not there. Doncic had 33. Kyrie Irving had 23. Green had 14. Lively had 6. I don't see Gafford here. And then they played March 1st, 138-110 in Boston. Gafford only played 5 minutes in this one. And, you've been watching this playoffs. Gafford's been a big piece for them for sure. He had a huge defensive series, really prevented Minnesota from getting points in the paint, really disrupted them, was a big factor. One of the big reasons why they were so dominant in that series. PJ Washington, he came later on as well, 17 points in this second matchup. Doncic had 37. Irving had 19. Tim Hardaway Jr. had 10. And then for Boston, Porzingis 24. Tatum 32. Jaylen Brown 25. Derek White 13. Drew Holiday 11. Al Horford 12. Peyton Pritchard had 10. So, Dallas obviously is one of the hottest teams. It has been one of the hottest teams in the second half of the NBA season and now throughout the playoffs. Dallas, the Boston, took care of Dallas in both these matches, both very high scoring matchups, a total of 229 and a total of 248 in the 2 matchups, Boston winning by 9, and then Boston winning by 28. So, 2.5 point favorites on the road against Dallas. They take care of there. And then 8.5 point favorites at home against Dallas. They take care of business there. So, I think a lot of people might be looking at the value with Dallas plus the 175. But I got to take Boston in this series minus the 220. Now, when I cap NBA, I like to match up player for player, and I kind of derive a point system from that. And I just think that, this Boston team is going to be a little bit different from what Dallas has seen so far in the playoffs. For the mere fact that Boston just has so many different guys that can score. The Clippers, you got Paul George, you got Harden. Again, Kawhi was banged up. Norman Powell was okay. Terrence Mann wasn't that good in that series. Russell Westbrook And then you got you got the Thunder, you got Shea, but like the rest of the guys aren't really great scorers. Chet Holmgren's still very young. He's not like really a great scorer. And then even with the Timberwolves, it's like Anthony Edwards is obviously a great scorer, but like the rest of the guys, Naz Reid really came up. He was great, but they're not like guys that you can really count on. And McDaniels was nice too. He had a lot of big games. Gobert is not a good scorer, obviously defensive player, and he wasn't that great defensively in that series. So, compared to the Celtics, where you have Jaylen Brown and Tatum, first off, these two guys are lethal offensively, just like Kyrie and Doncic are. And then you throw in Derek White, who could fill it up. Even Drew Holiday, even though he's more of a defensive player, he could get hot. Horford has been awesome. At his age, he's, that one game, he buried 7-8 threes against the Pacers. So he's deadly. And then you bring Porzingis back, who averaged 20 during the regular season and, 7 rebounds. And Porzingis' biggest issue is just staying healthy throughout his career, whether he was on, the Knicks, kind of banged up. Then he went to Dallas. He was on Dallas, 2021. But he's another guy that could just kill you. So they got Drew Holiday, Derek White, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, Porzingis, all guys who can just bury you from three. Now, Boston gets a little over-reliant from three. That's kind of the thing. They're going to just shoot a ton of threes. They're second in they're first in the NBA in three-point attempts, first in three-point made, second in three-point percentage at 38.5, eighth in field goal percentage at 48.6. Dallas second in three-point attempts and third in three-point made, but 13th in percentage at 37. So, Boston shoots 1.5% better than Dallas. But, as far as guys that, consistency wise, Porzingis, Brown, Tatum, Drew, Horford banging threes, Derek White. And then, when they're at home, Peyton Pritchard gives them good minutes. Young player out of the University of Oregon. I think they say Oregon. Yeah, not Oregon. It's Oregon. So I just think this team is going to be, Doncic, and Irving are just going to get theirs. But I just think that Boston's going to score more points than them. I think we're going to get high-scoring games. We're going to get a lot of elite offensive play. I think Doncic is obviously going to fill up the sheet. Irving will have another great series probably. PJ Washington will contribute. But then it's like Derek Jones, Josh Green, Jaden Hardy. Gafford's good defensively. Lively's been nice for them. But Boston's going to mostly play on the perimeter, and if they're banging their threes or banging their jumpers, and they'll get inside a little bit too, they'll just stretch those guys out. And I just think, if Boston's playing their game, they're going to be tough to beat. Now, this series definitely could go 6 or 7 games, but I also could see it going 5 games. So I'm going to take Boston minus the 220. I'm going to lay that, and I'll probably try to parlay that with the Oilers to win the cup too. I mean, I think I was told that it's been like 30 years since a Canadian team has won the Stanley Cup or some long ass time. So they're due playing the Florida Panthers. So I'll do a little parlay there with the Oilers and Celtics to get plus odds. Maybe I get like plus 300 or 400 on that, whatever it is, with those two teams winning their respective championships. So I'll take that. And then I'll also put a little bit on the Celtics to win it in 6 plus 230, maybe to win it in 7 plus 220. But I could see the Celtics also winning this in 5. Now, do I think it's going to be 5? No, probably not. I think more likely 6, but also 7. But either way, I think Boston's going to get it done here. I really do. I love Jason Kidd. I loved him when he played for the Nets. And that freaking team he was on with Kerry Kittles and Kenya Martin and Keith Van Horn. Went to go see them in the playoffs in the Meadowlands when I was living in Jersey. I think he's done a great job with this team. And there was questions when Kyrie came over, like how was he going to gel with Luka because of his past ever since he left LeBron. And he went to Boston, and it was just kind of it didn't really work out there. And then he went to Brooklyn, and it didn't really work out there either. And he was kind of going through things, and doing the media was on him, controversial flat earther stuff, and the Israeli thing. He said, the black Israelites, and he's getting criticized. I always liked Kyrie. I respect his opinions, and I like that. He thinks differently. He thinks outside the box. He's not afraid to show, who he is. And how could you not respect his game? I mean, there was a play against the Timberwolves where he like spun into the lane and like he had nowhere to go, and he just made like this freaking 360 washer machine pass. I think it was out to Derek Jones. It just showed his athleticism and skill. Just an unbelievable player. And then you combine him with Luka, who kind of just plays slow but just so crafty. Flops a little bit too much and get a little annoying. And the Dallas role players have played really, really well. Really, really well, especially in that Minnesota series. I mean, they're on fire right now. But I'm going to go with the Boston Celtics for the series. And then, like I said, I'll sprinkle maybe the plus 230 on the 6 to win it in 6, the plus 220 to win it in 7. And then as far as game 1, again, tomorrow night or tonight, if you're listening to this Thursday, 8:30 on ABC. Celtics are minus 6.5. I have them winning by like 9 or 10. So I think the Celtics is a great pick right off the bat. I think a lot of people may, favor Dallas here. The game 1 picks, 61% are on Dallas. So I'm going against the majority. I kind of like that. 39% is on Boston, but I love it. I'm going to slam Boston tomorrow. It's going to be a pretty big pick for me, pretty big bet for me. So that's definitely a best bet. The total is 214.5. I would definitely lean over based on those last 2 matchups. And again, Boston has now won the last 4 matchups going back to 2022, November 2022. So the teams are a little bit different, obviously. But, this Boston team is probably coming of age at this point. They're probably ready to finally deliver and get the championship, bring it back to Boston since the Garnett, Paul Pierce days. And, I'm from New York. I'm supposed to hate Boston teams. And I would never root for the Red Sox. Like, that's one team I'd probably never freaking ever root for. And the Patriots, just because the Jets are such a big rival there, too. Maybe the Patriots, but the Red Sox, definitely not. But the Celtics, I actually did root for when they had that Garnett, Paul Pierce team and Ray Allen. I loved that, watching that team. That was just a fun-ass team to watch. And even, like, growing up, I was a Bulls fan, and, I hated the Knicks and Ewing. And even though Ewing's from Georgetown, I'm a Georgetown fan. But like those Sprewell, Larry Johnson teams, I really like to watch. But anyway, I think Boston's ready to get it done here. So we're going to go Boston minus 220 in the series. We're going to go Boston in game 1 minus 6.5. I'm also going to take the over. Not as much as Boston, though. Like, I like Boston. That's the best bet here. We'll take the over as well. Looking at some props here for game 1. Luka over to 31.5. Even though it's very, very chalky, I don't mind it. He's probably going to go over that. Tatum over 26.5. Jaylen Brown over 22.5. Porzingis over 15.5. First game back, not bad. I would say, I don't know. I mean, you never know with props, but I would say Jaylen Brown over 22.5. Tatum's 4 points more. Derek White over 14.5 is not bad either. And then I think Doncic's over 31. I'm not putting a lot on those. Just some fun bets. Maybe I'll throw a same game parlay in there. But Boston minus 6.5 for sure. You could always buy it down to 6 or 5.5 if you want. And then the over I like a little bit too as well, based on the past two matchups. Both went way over that. Now there's gonna be there's some time off here. There's more defense, obviously. It's the NBA Finals. They're gonna be playing a little bit harder. You're gonna get their best effort out there tomorrow night. But I still would take it. Dallas has been playing high-scoring games, against Minnesota, against OKC. Boston has also been playing high. Well, they were playing crazy high-scoring games against Indiana, but that's kind of what Indiana does. But Boston's going to score. Dallas is going to score, so I like that over as well. And then finally, Celtics minus 220 for the series. And then MVP in this series, Jason Tatum is the favorite, minus 115. You could definitely bet that, not bad odds if you want to throw some money. But if you want to go a little bit higher, Jaylen Brown plus 650. I mean, that's pretty solid. 6-1, 6.5 to 1 there. And then even Porzingis, 40-1, plus 4,000. Derek White is also plus 4,000. Drew Holiday is 50-1, plus 5,000. That is not a bad one either, just because he could really have a big presence, possibly defensively. Maybe he shuts down Irving or Doncic, and it has a great offensively too. I mean, most likely it's going to be Tatum or Brown. I mean, Brown has a great chance, 6.5 to 1 there, plus 650. Then if you think the Mavericks are going to win this series, if you disagree with me, Doncic is 2-1 plus 210. But the value is on Irving, 20-1 plus 2,000. I mean, that's the bet I think you make. Kyrie Irving, I guess this is a revenge game for him, going against Boston, although it's more like a revenge game for Boston for basically, like, when Kyrie was there, they were just not good. I don't know if they made the playoffs, but they lost in the first round. I just remember Tatum was terrible that year when Kyrie was there. It was just a hot mess. And maybe this is the revenge game for Porzingis, who used to play for the Mavericks, plus 4,000. So there you have it, guys. I really like Boston in this series. Initially, before looking at it, I was a little unsure, but now looking at the past history, and the style that Boston is going to bring to Dallas, I just think that there's going to be too much offense, for Boston. And, Boston is not a bad team defensively too. They're second in field goal percentage. And they are third in 3-point percentage. So, and they let up with the least amount of free throws as well. So they're a good defensive team, underrated defensive team, I guess you could say. You got Drew Holiday. You put that dude on any team, he's just going to be so damn good. Love Drew Holiday. So, yeah, I like Boston. I think they're going to present problems for Dallas. Again, Kyrie and Doncic are going to be terrific. They're going to get theirs. I just think when you compare the role players for Boston and the way they can, more consistently score and the way they play, I think it's just going to present problems compared to what Dallas has faced already, playing younger teams, less worse offensive teams, I think, overall, obviously. They didn't have to play Denver. So, yeah, let's go Boston minus 220. You want to get plus odds there. You can parlay them with, maybe the Panthers to win, or if you like the Oilers like I do, I think Connor McDavid and a Canadian team is going to get it done. We're going to go Jaylen Brown for the NBA Finals plus 650. Also, we could throw some on Tatum minus 115. And then finally for game one, we're going to take Dallas minus the 6.5. And we also like the over 214.5. So thanks for watching, guys. Really appreciate it. Again, follow me on X at Fantasy Savvy. We will be doing more high stakes fantasy football drafts on this show, best ball drafts as well with Underdog. We'll be with you all season long. The fantasy football season is really kicking into gear. Also, we'll be on the Face Off Sports Network 2-3 times a week with Anthony and those guys. So check me out there, fffaceoff.com. Thanks to Anthony at Faceoff Sports Network for broadcasting this on his network. So we will see you next time. Stay tuned. Take care. Brush your hair, whatever you want to do. See you soon.